This is Corey Willis with PPEI, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
I'm Adam Blattenberg from Diesel World.
This is Dan, owner of ATS Diesel Performance.
I'm Cass from Diesel Doctor of Tennessee, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
What is going on, Diesel Nation? We're excited to have you guys with us today on the #1 diesel truck podcast on iTunes. I want to thank you guys again for all your support and the follows that we're getting on Facebook and Instagram and the reviews you give us on iTunes. You guys motivate us, keep us going, and staying on top of diesel news and things that are happening. On today's episode, we're going to be chatting with UCC competitor Josh Scruggs, and he's got a truck that you guys are you're gonna remember. It's the old Firepunk truck that won UCC. And he's going to be telling us the changes he's made to it with the engine, the transmission, turbo, and fuel setup. And it's a really cool truck, and it's getting ready. He's going to be hitting ODSS races and then, of course, UCC. Before we get to it, though, we want to thank a couple of our sponsors that make these episodes possible. The first is BD Diesel, and you're going to hear a lot about BD products and things that Josh uses to make his truck compete at the highest level. If you're looking for parts for your race truck or your daily driver, go to dieselperformance.com. You can search Ford, GM, Dodge, year ranges, everything like that, and browse the entire BD lineup. So make sure you check them out. And also Diesel World Magazine. Go online to dieselworldmag.com. Make sure and bookmark that page. They stay on top of everything that's going on in diesel, from races, events, products, trends, restorations, tons of different things. They're on our favorite list, and we're always going on there to see what's new and happening in diesel. Josh, welcome to the Diesel Podcast. I'm excited to chat with you today about your race truck, the BD race team, and your experience in diesel and building a really cool truck.
Yeah, look forward to being on here. I ain't never been on the podcast before.
They're fun. You know, we get to talk trucks and power and everything, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about, you know, diesel performance or building a race truck and your background in that. What made you decide to build a race truck?
Well, I don't really know, honestly. I had an old 96 Dodge that I purchased back when diesel got crazy expensive. Me and my dad decided to kind of just do a father-son project, and we built a pulling truck out of it, pulled in the 2.6 class, and did it for, probably about 3 or 4 years, and just rule changes and having to buy new stuff for it every year because it wouldn't fit in a class around my local area no more, because the local around here didn't really follow no particular like PPL rules or anything like that. So it just seemed like every year I was buying a new Charger or buying something to make it competitive and still fit in rules, and kind of just got burned out on it and posted the truck up for sale, and had a guy down in Kentucky offer me a trade for an 06 truck that had a roll cage, had a 850 cert mild steel cage in it, and had a 6.7 motor with rods and a ported head on it. Nothing really super special. Had S480 on it and some decent size injectors, and so I wound up trading him for it and brought it back home and got going through it, and the trans was out of it. So the guy here that works for me, and that's kind of always been his niche, and we got a trans rebuilt for it, and kind of went through the chassis and kind of tried to do a 4-link setup for like the local guys around here that still wanted to street their truck but didn't want to cut the whole truck up and back half it and everything. So we kind of sat around and designed a 4-link setup for the truck that was able to be bolted onto it and have you set of coilover shocks on the back of it that you wouldn't have to cut the bed up or anything to run it, and just tried that as an experiment and took it to shide and got down there, and it was running really good the first day. We was running 6.0s pretty much every pass, and then the next day it got hot outside, and I wasn't running any nitrous or anything at the time, and kind of just fell off on times with the hot air and wound up coming in third. Rick Fox knocked us out to put us in third, which, wow, that's a tough truck. we kind of came back and we was cutting mid 140s with our setup, and we're kind of like, well, we tried it. It did work. It will work for people, but let's make this thing competitive now. So we got back here and cut the truck in half and spent a couple weeks back halving it, and I put a good brake kit on it and came back out. We kind of missed. We tried to go to Florida with it, but parts didn't quite show up in time, and then a hurricane was coming through, and they was calling for, I don't know, like 30 or 40 inches of rain here, and we kind of just said, no, we better stay here and make sure the shop's here and not rush this, and we came back out at Fall Rudy's with it, and with a small kit of nitrous on it, and wound it up meeting Rick up in the finals again, and came back with a win. Actually, everything worked the way it was supposed to. I had ran a 591 earlier in that day, shutting it down. It actually got faster, a good bit faster. And then against Rick, I actually shut it down a little too early and got back in on it and ran a, I think it was a 596 or a 598 to his 591. Just happened to get him off the tree enough just to get across the line in front of him and get our first win with it. And then we hit another kind of local event after that, and we had built a 590 truck here at my shop. It's a P-Pump 24 valve, and he had some mechanical issues during the year and managed not to get it back out to the very last event of the year, and me and him wound up meeting in the finals of that, and I broke loose sideways about 100 foot out and had to shut it down and just ran out of real estate and couldn't run back in and come in second there, but it made one hard pass that everything worked out, kind of turned back down to what it was at Rudy's and won a 578 there with it, and we came back from there and kind of talking about plans of the future, and kind of I had a motor on order from Industrial Injection, a 6.4 solid deck plate motor. Like, well, it's kind of shame to run a motor like that in 590, but we're going to have to destroy the truck again to make it competitive in Pro Street, and kind of decided to sell that truck, and we wound up selling that truck out at PRI and had made some phone calls and talked to some people and came back from PRI with Levon's Pro Street truck.
Oh, cool.
The rolling chassis, and right now we're in the middle of trying to get a sled pull set up for UCC out there. I think the motor is supposed to be here at the end of the week, beginning of next week. And work. Just had a baby about a month ago, and with this race truck, don't see no sleep in sight.
Yeah, and it got crunch time coming up with UCC not being too far off.
Yeah, and we want to hit Rudy's with it because that's our normal series with the ODS, and we was really happy with the way everybody as a racer treated a newcomer to the events. It wasn't no drama. Everybody kind of helps each other out. During race time, it's competitive and everybody's racing, but when it's all said and done, everybody's there to help you and be friends and help you with it any way they possibly can as the night progresses to get ready for the next day.
That's what's so cool about ODSS. And when we were talking with Greg Jolly, he was telling us about the races, but also I'd say the camaraderie and the help and encouragement that comes from the racers and their teams and everything like that with the series, and that's what we wanted to chat with you a bit about today. Is when you build race trucks and you've got wins and you're traveling and everything, how hard it can be to stay competitive. Maybe not so much with the driving part, but with keeping the truck up and running and the parts, and if you run into a roadblock, being able to get some help on it. And And I wanted to ask you more about the BD race team and being a member of it and what that allows you to do as a racer.
It helps out tremendously. But I met up with Georgina out at Shide last year, and we kind of talked and whatnot about me coming about, and we started talking with her and Brian out there, and they invited us out to SEMA to be part of their guest house out there and be able to meet us in person and talk, and just the way they treat us as a racer, it's unbelievable the amount of help that they will offer anybody. It ain't just me that shows out to do good. I got a couple of local customers here that have 770 trucks and ET trucks that BD's also sponsored and helped them out. BD really likes to help everybody that's willing to go race out to get the diesel industry out there and going. And if you have a problem with something, you call them up and go over what the issues is, and they work as hard as anybody I know to try to help you fix that issue.
I think that's so important, is getting the trucks out there and racing and getting them in front of people who may have never seen it, or they're kind of interested in doing it, but they haven't quite taken the leap. And I think what you guys are doing and what BD does to help racers is really crucial to the future of diesel racing.
The amount of testing and everything that goes into their products to make sure that it's going to be a good product. I have a shop here, and like I said, I use their products here. When it comes available that somebody will go ahead and say, yeah, let's use that, we use it, and thus far I ain't having a moment's issue out of anything that I've installed of theirs. And like I said, hands down, if the customer has a question, they're not a bit bashful to tell them about their product, and just the amount of knowledge that goes into each one of their products and what their sales team and tech team know about everything is unreal.
I think that probably the hard part is, you're talking to customers every day about diesel trucks, and we talk to a lot of guys like yourself, and there's so much information, so many things that I don't know. It's cool with doing a podcast or reaching out to a company, even BD, or saying, hey guys, tell us about this product. I just saw this on your Facebook or Instagram page. How does this work? What does this do? And you can get those answers.
Yeah, it's one of them things. Like my personal truck, I have a '04 Dodge Dually that tows the race truck around. They came out with that new tap shift valve body setup, and I've been wanting to get my hands on that thing so bad I can taste it, just for the easeability of towing without being able to pick the gears you want and the lockup strategies and everything. I think hands down that thing is going to make a world of difference. That's
one of the products that for years people have wanted to do that. They've wanted to, be able to have a tap shifter and be able to control the converter on a 48RE.
Just my trucks, it did last year, had a big single on it. Well, I say a big single, but it has 67 on it, and I dropped it back to a 474. And it took driver input. This year I'm probably going to throw a set of small tone twins on it to take a little less driver input. But my mom borrows the truck time to time. She shows horses. She's got 4 dressage horses out there, and it's one of the things I ain't comfortable with just saying, here, go drive this. Here, take my truck, because it's hot enough right now. If you don't put driver input into it, you'll burn it up. Tear trans out of it, burn the motor up, either or. And I'm trying to get it to that point where it's more user-friendly that, say, my mom can hop in it and drop it down and drive and go. And when she hits a mountain, instead of having to grab a hold of the actual shifter handle and drop it in gear and maybe go too far or go drop it, pick it back up in gear, jump it in neutral, just push a button.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's something I think it solves a major issue. And well, it really takes newer technology to, a truck that's not being made anymore, or a transmission that's not being made, but you get some of the features of the new trucks like the 68 RFE and the Ace, and with its ability, you get it in a 48.
You just having the options in there for that type of stuff is nice.
So with UCC coming up, how nervous are you?
Very nervous. Going out to an event that I've never been to against people like Sean Baca and Derek Rose and all of them that's been there every year. It's getting to be a tough field out there, and everybody's kind of like, well, you bought a proven truck. It's already won 3 times. Well, that's true, but I'm changing several things about it because, as it said, it came as a rolling truck. And then with the sled pull, he let me borrow a good bit of the sled pull stuff, but I kind of came from pulling, and I want to try to run a different setup in it, and we're going to try it. I ain't promising it's going to be great, but we're going to go for it and see what happens. And then as far as the dynos section of it, that's going to be a hit or miss too. You got Sean and Derek Rose that put up crazy numbers, and I got a truck mainly just to drag race, and I ain't a big fan of a dyno, so I'm not shooting to really go crazy on the dyno. So we'll see how things go and hope for the best.
It's going to definitely be exciting to see. And
it's crazy the amount of work that goes into it. We've been working, I'd say, probably a good month and a half, 2 months strong on getting this truck ready for sled pulling. We wanted to get some practice hits in on it on the sled, but starting to run out of time for that and getting ready to pull everything back out of it and put the rolling chassis back together and get the automatic and motor set down in it and get it ready for drag racing, what the truck's actually meant to do. And BD helped out tremendously on the transmission side of things. Their new torque converter with the ease of being able to unbolt it if you burn a trans and send stuff through the converter, being able to just split it open, clean it, put a rebuild kit in it if necessary, and put it back together and go racing the next day instead of having 3 or 4 torque converters laying around. And it just, the amount of help that they have given over the winter time with product and information on it to try to get us a good transmission. We kind of worked with BD with majority of all the transmission parts, shafts, valve bodies, the roller planetary setups, and torque converter. The only thing that really ain't theirs in there's the clutches, and we're dealing with Levon with clutches because we, like I said before, that one guy that I have working for me here, he builds the transmissions. He's been doing a phenomenal job with them. We got several trucks running around over 1,000 horsepower that daily drive them, race them, and never have a minute's problem. The 590 truck that we built last year, 590, it was together a year before, and it dynoed at 1,100 and some change. And probably from testing and everything, we guess it's got 40 passes on it, and we just pulled it down here last week to check it out and refresh it because he's going testing next weekend. It looked like a brand new transmission inside. There wasn't anything wrong with it. All the clutches still look new, no material in the pan, and that's really hard to believe with that amount of passes on it for a drag truck.
Oh, for sure.
It seems like an average rule of thumb's 10 to 15 passes on these hot trucks. That's actually drag racing nonstop, and that transmission held in there like a trooper. Maybe some people say it was a fluke in nature. We'll see, but that trans, hands down, was a good one to be looking brand new after 40 plus passes I know it has on it. Plus he was street driving it, dirt dragging it. He thrashed the ever-living heck out of it. So it was one of the things. We used Firepunk's competition clutch kits and stuff, and we know the clearances and everything for them kits, so we kind of decided we wanted to stay with their clutches and stuff, and that's the only reason that it ain't fully BD is just because of the success we've had out of them other clutch kits of knowing how to set stuff with the snap ring clearances and everything else.
We're definitely looking forward to seeing what you're able to do on a couple different fronts this year. You know, with UCC and then ODSS, and you know, the competitive nature of both competitions, and putting your truck.
We got Rudy's that, like I said, we want to hit because it's points, first race of the season, and we'll get back here to the shop, probably pull the trans out of it, make sure it's okay, because we have 2 transmissions for this truck. Make sure it's good to go, and probably Wednesday leave again for UCC for the following weekend. So it's pretty much shut down here for a week and a half to 2 weeks almost because of 2 events back to back, and a lot of planning and a lot of work goes into it, and we're still hoping we'll get finished with the truck in time for UCC. It's just so much work to do, and it's like you don't see no end in sight.
Well, it's a truck, and you know that we're definitely going to keep our eye on, you know, throughout the year, and we'd definitely love to chat with you, you know, say towards the end of the season, and see what you thought of you know, the changes and the things that you did over the winter. But for our listeners out there that want to follow you, see what you're doing, they might have questions for you too. Where can they find you on social media?
You can find us on Triple Heart Repair and Fab on Facebook, or it's on my personal page on Instagram at Scruggs Josh on Instagram. Or I have a personal Facebook page also. It's Josh Scruggs, SCRUGGS. I post a lot of stuff between the 2 pages. It just depends on what kind of rush I'm in of which one I do. A lot of times I go to Instagram because it'll do the Instagram and the business page at the same time. I can do both of them in one hit.
One of the things I love about Instagram is how quick it is. You can scroll through a lot of stuff, see a lot of pictures and everything, and we'll make sure and tag you when we release this episode, and you know, see how things went, and just, you know, maybe if there's any changes or anything like that as you go through not just Rudy's but UCC and then some of the other ODSS events. So we definitely appreciate your time today and sharing your story with us, and telling us about the BD race team and the truck and just everything you got going on, and getting ready here for race season and crunch time with it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this motor from Industrial also. I've seen a couple pictures of it, but pictures don't ever do anything justice. The amount of help that they've done too is crazy for me being small time in my eyes. I ain't really in the radar of anybody, but the amount of help that's out here in this industry, if you're just willing to take the time and talk with some people, everybody really wants to see diesels pick up and go somewhere and are willing to help. Naturally, they ain't out here to give you money towards things, but when it comes to parts and stuff like that to help a truck be successful, it's several companies, Industrial, BD, Hot Shot Secret, any of them guys, anything that comes to a diesel, they're willing to listen to you and give you a shot if you can explain what you want to do and are courteous with them. Goes a long ways.
Don't forget, diesel fans, make sure and head on over to dieselperformance.com. Check out any of the products you heard Josh talk about from BD Diesel on this podcast, and also dieselworldmag.com. Till next time, keep the shiny side up.